Hi, Misha here, and it's finally here. Our last Battlestar, not issue necessarily, but the last actual Battlestar ship. Issue 3 in Eaglemoss's Galactica collection was the reimagined Galactica herself, as from the series. Issue 23, years later, is the Galactica as she appeared in Blood and Chrome, actually now 10 years ago. This is from the first Cylon War, when she was all kitted up, and this is from her retirement and twilight years of service, when she was used as more of a transport and patrol ship. So, they are the same, but they are different, and I'm actually glad they did this. I've criticized in the past a little bit them doing Scar and the Cylon Raider, as well as Boomer's Raptor and the Heavy Raptor, because they are so similar. But in this instance, I think it is warranted, especially as we close out the collection. It's good that we end our colonial ships really with the Galactica again. So let's talk about the differences, similarities, and just have a little bit of a preview and overview of the model itself. And of course, onto the spinny thing. The basic dimensions will be the same, about 1,445 meters long. So we're big. We're really big. We're bigger than most Star Trek Discovery ships big. But then again, the Battlestars were combination battleships and aircraft carriers. Well, spacecraft carriers. They were always known for being big. And of course, they have the two flight pods with them out about 540 meters, retracted in about 350 meters wide. So give or take half a kilometer wide, depending on their positioning. Now, originally 12 of these were launched early in the first Cylon War, at least 12 of Galactica's type. We don't really know a class. Some call it the Columbia class, others the Jupiter. Some just refer to it as Galactica type. Interestingly, we never were given a class. But there are differences early on versus later. For one, the crew was 5,000 during the war, whereas the reimagined ship, when we see it in the series, had a crew of about 3,500. And the extra crew were there for a few purposes. The original late series Galactica had 24 dual primary kinetic energy weapon, so cannon systems, so it's a total of 48. This version here actually has a total of 40, so a total of 80, because they're dual barrel. So not quite double the cannons, but 2/3 more. It also has additional point defense, kinetic energy weapons, in other words, cannons or guns. On top of that, it has more Raptors and more Vipers, especially Vipers in these flight pods. There are more launch tubes and everything, so there are some more pilots and support personnel on board for that. And the other major difference is armor. This has more armor plating, primarily on the top and the head section, and also on the sides of the flight pods, which makes sense. And that might seem unusual to strip armor off of a battleship, but even in the real world, taking armor and guns off and putting them on, that happens on real world battleships all the time. Armor on a battleship is kind of done in belts, and it's external. It's removable either for repair replacement, or to comply with treaties, for example, after World War I, or to beef it back up for, say, World War II. So armor is actually, to some extent, on a real-world battleship, modular, as are, of course, guns needing replacement, upgrading, whatnot. So adding and subtracting guns and armor does make sense. Why would they do it? Well, this was done in the war. Of course, the armor, the guns would have added bulk and weight, and again, crew. The benefit of going to the later version, it could be operated by 1,500 fewer people, and it would have either been faster, more maneuverable, or consumed less fuel because of less mass. And of course, the late version is being operated in peacetime, soon, right before its planned obsolescence and retirement. Everything else is pretty much the same. We've got the 4 primary sublight engines in the back with 2 auxiliary. And then we have, of course, FTL drive. Of course, in the war, this was one of the biggest and best in the fleet. This was long before the Mercury class Pegasus and whatnot came to be. So this was the creme de la creme. Other ships at the time would have been like the Osiris and the Valkyrie Battlestars, both of which were much smaller. So let's get a little closer with this. I will say I think they did improve the stand with 4 kind of small prongs to stick into the bottom, whereas the original one here has kind of more of a tray it sits in. It sits fine, but it can be knocked. This stand seems to kind of hold it more securely. Yeah, and most of the differences are going to be on the top, with more weapons on the head area and kind of running the spine. The flight pods are a little different as well. Interestingly, the bottom isn't that much changed. Still has kind of the ribbing style we saw in the reimagined. One wonders if Blood and Chrome had been picked up for a full series, if they would have reworked the bottom. Maybe. But this isn't Eaglemoss being lazy. This is how the VFX model looked. Keep in mind, when you see these in a show, you're either going to usually see the side, the front, or the top. The bottom tends to be the least, visualized part. And anyway, who's to say why they would or wouldn't put extra armor on the bottom? I think they probably should have, but whatever. So, yeah, basically the detailing's on the top that makes it different from the previous one. Like the previous one, it's big, about 10 inches. It's relatively, I was going to say it's relatively light, but it's really not. It has a lot of mass in the center. But for detailing all the guns and stuff, we have polymer. So while there are metal parts protruding, especially like kind of the central area here, a lot of the metal's on the inside to give it bulk. That's just kind of, when you're dealing with a ship this large, in a CGI model to boot, where detailing can be quite fine, if you want to get all that in the mold, you're going to have to do more plastics, polymers, because metal has a certain limitation there. On the other hand, metal just gives you that nice feeling. Like I said, more guns here. Since we already had the Raider and the Viper from Blood and Chrome, it really does seem logical that we get the Galactica. I kind of would have liked to have also had the base star, but Cylon ships just don't sell as well as Colonial. And again, we have 2 more issues after this. 24 is the original series Colonial Shuttle, and 25 is the Astral Queen of all things. Kind of interesting that. I was kind of hoping they might do the Demetrius, but oh well. Alright, let's have a few final thoughts. And side by side one more time. Obviously, it's the same ship, or at least the same class. If it's not Galactica from BSG or BS-75, it could be the Columbia or the Artemis. We also saw those in Blood and Chrome. Same length, of course. But, as with the stand, you can tell Eaglemoss has improved a few things from the beginning of the collection to now. They line up quite nicely together. Happy to have it. Happy to have kind of the full range of Battlestars we saw in the whole series. So which version do you like more? The up-armored and up-gunned wartime version, or the sleeker, peacetime, just about to be retired version? Let me know. And just as I have done with the Cylons back in December, I will do a kind of a colonial wrap-up video soon. Sorry, guys. Said the rear has a little more weight than the front. So, one thing to note, it might tip backwards. This model can do that too. Yeah. But I was happy this finally came in. It was supposed to ship around November 30th. Ended up shipping on February 15th. So, 2.5 months late. But, you know, it is what it is. With that, I appreciate you tuning in. As always, if you could, please like, share, and subscribe. This is Misha. Catch you very soon.